guards. Host! Hurry! Up!
All right, I think we can get started now if everybody wants to take a seat. Before I get started, though, there is a sheet of paper here that I think Derek is making me read, which reads, "In the event of a fire alarm, please walk towards the nearest exit and leave the building. The Lexington Fire Chief will respond and inform the public when it's safe to re-enter the premises. Please take time to identify your nearest exit at this point in time." So before I get started, I do want to recognize a number of special guests that are here. Judy Sencabaugh, Derek's wife. Well, actually, I'll start off with Derek Sencabaugh, our new fire chief, and then Judy, his wife. Matthew and Michelle, his two children. His mom, Helen Sears. His father, William Sencabaugh, who's also the Littleton, New Hampshire fire captain. Kyle and Rebecca Sencabaugh, his brother and sister-in-law. Heidi Sutherland, his sister, Daryl Sencabaugh, his brother, Amanda Sutherland, his niece, Scott Sencabaugh, his cousin, Ray Bartlett, his father-in-law, and Ann Bartlett, his mother-in-law, Kevin Bartlett, his brother-in-law, and Suzanne Hinkle, and two kids, his sister-in-law. And then we have a number of other departments that are represented here, including Stoneham, Chief Matthew Grafton, Concord, Chief Tom Judge, Lynn, Chief Steve Archer, the Merrimack, Mass. Chief Larry Fisher, Hudson Chief Richard Harris, Cambridge Acting Chief Jared Mahoney, Belmont's Chief David Frizzle and Assistant Chief Haley, Melrose Chief Ed Colina, Bedford's Captain Mark Sullivan, Burlington's Chief Steve Yetman, and Hanscom Air Force Base Dan Dillon, Assistant Chief, and Mark Webb and Mark Klemke. So Derek has been a member of the Lexington Fire Department since August of 1995, having served most recently as the Assistant Chief since July of 2016. In his role as Chief, Derek will be responsible for townwide fire prevention and response, emergency medical services, firefighter training, overall management and oversight of more than 60 full-time staff. He also gets to serve as the town's emergency management director. That's an extra bonus. Having been in Lexington for over 23 years, I'm confident his strong leadership skills and positive relationship with staff will encourage the continued high-quality level of services that the community expects. Over the past 23 years, Chief Sencabaugh has risen through the ranks, having served as firefighter, lieutenant, captain, assistant chief, and interim chief before being promoted to chief. He's well known in the community, having served as the Hanscom Air Force Base fire liaison, student awareness of fire education educator, fire investigation unit commander, chief training officer, and chief fire prevention officer. Derek has also served as a member of the Lexington Firefighters Honor Guard, Lexington Substance Abuse Task Force, South Middlesex Opioid Task Force, and he's also earned the fire chief credential for the Massachusetts Fire Service Commission. Chief Sencabaugh is also part of a number of regional, state, national associations such as the Metro Fire Chiefs Association, Metro Fire Investigators serving as the vice president, the International Association of Arson Investigators, International Association of Fire Chiefs, Fire Chiefs Association of Massachusetts, Fire Prevention Association of Massachusetts, and the Massachusetts Institute of Fire Instructors. So he's no stranger to the firefighting profession or to the community. And I think at this point in time, our next item is to have the town clerk, Natalie Rice, come up and administer the oath of office.
Honor guards, attend. Up. Host.
You hold that. Raise your right hand and repeat after me. I, Derek S. Sencabaugh,
I, Derek S. Sencabaugh,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
that I will bear true faith and allegiance
to the United States of America
to the United States of America
and the Commonwealth of
and
Massachusetts,
Commonwealth of Massachusetts,
and will support the Constitution
and
and
support the
laws thereof.
Constitution and laws thereof.
I, Derek S. Sencabaugh,
I, Derek S. Sencabaugh,
do solemnly swear
do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully and impartially
that I will faithfully and impartially
discharge and perform
discharge and perform
all the duties incumbent upon me
all the duties incumbent upon me,
as Fire Chief of the Town of Lexington Fire Department,
the Fire Chief of the Town of Lexington Fire Department,
and will obey and be bound
and will obey and be bound
by such laws, rules, and regulations
by such laws, rules, and regulations
as are or may be
as are or may be
from time to time laid down
from time to time laid down
for the government of the Fire Department
for the government of the Fire Department
of the Town of Lexington.
of the Town of Lexington.
I, Derek S. Sencabaugh,
I, Derek S. Sencabaugh,
hereby accept the position of Fire Chief
hereby accept the position of Fire Chief
of the Fire Department of the Town of
of
Lexington.
the Fire Department of the Town of Lexington.
Congratulations.
Derek, if you could come back up with your wife Judy this time, so she can do the badge pinning. And if we could have State Fire Marshal Peter Ostrowski come up to do the delegation of authority.
Thank you, Town Manager Malloy, and good afternoon, everyone. Thanks for the opportunity to join you all. It's my great pleasure to join so many fire service personnel, public safety personnel from Lexington and from the area, and to extend our congratulations on behalf of Secretary of Public Safety and Security Tom Turco, the Executive Office of Public Safety and Security, and my brother and sister personnel at the Department of Fire Services. We have the great opportunity to work every day with local fire service personnel and to work with great departments like Lexington to support their efforts in creating a strong public safety fabric that we all enjoy here across the Commonwealth, and that Chief Sencabaugh will continue the tradition of so well here in Lexington. I had the chance earlier, as we were waiting to get together, to speak with Chief Wilson and congratulate him on his retirement and a great career. I've had the opportunity since my decision to join the Department of Fire Services to work with Chief Wilson, and through him, the Lexington Fire Department, as well with Chief Sencabaugh and our various responsibilities. And one of the things that we always come upon is the subject of change. At this time of year, we have the change in the weather. We hope it'll change for the better soon. But we also see not only the change in the leadership of the department, but the change in the responsibilities that we have in the fire service consistently. While the old saying goes, you know, as much as things stay the same, they change, or vice versa, the fact of the matter is we're responsible to continue the great level of service that we perform as a public safety entity, but we are challenged with many new and evolving challenges. And as the town manager read off the qualifications and the great work that Derek has done to prepare for this position, it was really striking to me that it truly does reflect the tradition, the responsibilities of the fire service that Chief Wilson and the Lexington Fire Department have risen to meet all these years, and that I know that Chief Sencabaugh is ready to take on. When we look at things like the liaison to Hanscom and the relationships that we need to have with mutual aid and with our neighboring communities, because none of us are in this alone. We look at his work with the Metro chiefs, and again, the relationships that we build upon for the benefit of our own communities and for the communities that they serve. I'm struck by the information about his work on the Substance Abuse Task Force. Again, something that as young firefighters, we probably never thought we'd get involved in, but the fact of the matter is, with our brothers and sisters in law enforcement and in EMS, we are headlong into that issue. And as a community entity, we all have a responsibility to work together to work through the scourge and work through getting people connected with services so that we can get past that. Today, it's my great privilege to be with you and to offer the delegation of authority from the Department of Fire Services and the State Fire Marshal to incoming Chief Sencabaugh. So, Derek, congratulations, my best wishes for continued success, and I'm honored to present you with your delegation of authority. So let's get out front so they can take a picture with us.
And next, I'd like to invite Rabbi Howard Jaffe up to do the invocation.
What an honor and privilege to be invited to offer these words. Guiding Spirit of the universe, as Chief Sencabaugh rises to assume his new duties and the sacred responsibilities he embraces this day, he does so with the support, caring, and inexpressible appreciation of our entire community. Help him to think quickly but safely. Guide his hand to help those who are seeking his insight, knowledge, and leadership. Give him the wisdom and the strength to lead and to guide the members of the Lexington Fire Department, which he has served and helped to lead with such distinction, and who, like him, have taken on with extraordinary courage the task of protecting and caring for the life and limb, property and treasure of those of our community, even at unimaginable peril and risk. May he continue to be blessed with concern for others and readiness to help all those in need. May he know and be blessed with strength of heart to bear whatever burdens he might face. May he, along with all the firefighters who selflessly plunge in to help us all who are in need, without regard for their own safety, the bravest and most persistent of us all, who are themselves fulfilled only when they have been able to make a difference, even most especially to save lives, find meaning in his work, knowing that he and all under his command make our community a safe place to live, bringing peace and blessing to us all. May he, along with all those of our fire department, always return to his own family, his beloved Judy, Matthew, and Michelle, in peace and in health. May they experience pride and honor in knowing that by their support of the tasks and responsibilities with which he is charged, they share in the gift and blessing that he brings to us all. And may we always, even in the moments when we forget to express those thoughts and feelings, hold in our hearts deep appreciation for the exceptional gifts of body, spirit, mind, and absolute dedication that our new chief and all those he leads bring. And if you are so inclined, I invite you to say Amen.
If I could have Susie Berry from the Board of Selectmen come up to give a few remarks.
Thank you, Jim. It truly is an honor and a privilege for me to stand here this morning and deliver the this afternoon, and deliver the remarks from the Board of Selectmen on behalf of our Chair, Doug Lucente, our Vice Chair, Jill Hay, Joe Pato, and Selectman Mark Sandine. I and my family have personally known Derek now for close to 20 years, so today is extra special to us. And I want to thank you, Derek, for being on time. Do not give him the signal. I want to thank you for being on time, and the uniform looks great. And the reason I mention that is because, a few months ago when Derek made assistant chief, it's our practice that when there's a promotion within the town manager brings that individual before the board and introduces them to the board in a formal way. So the then town manager said, I'm going to bring Derek in on Monday night, introduce him to the board, let him say some words, you'll say some nice stuff, it'll be great, we'll take some pictures, and we'll move on. So the meeting opens, and Derek's not in the room. And we go through our formalities, and Derek's not in the room. And the town manager begins his town manager report, and Derek is not in the room. And the town manager's keeping it together pretty well, and then I notice the phone comes out, and there might be some texting going on or something like that, and the meeting moves on. And then this little note gets passed across to me that says, Derek's delayed. I'm like, okay, I figured that part out. We'll deal with it when he gets here. Okay, fine. So we're moving on and on and on, and I don't know, maybe an hour goes by or so, and then suddenly this waft of smoke smell enters the room before Derek. And the message comes back over to me, and it says, Derek was at a fire. I'm like, surprise. But it was not a fire in Lexington. Derek had responded on mutual aid to a fire in, I believe it was in Lincoln? In Lincoln. So that's just it. Part of it's the job, but part of it's a testament of the type of person that he is, or he just didn't want to come to our meeting. I am not sure. So Chris, thank you so much for confiscating his radio so that he's here on time, and he looks good and smells good. That's good. So we actually did have this conversation about, what do you want me to say? And he said, well, you can be sarcastic. My family gets that. And I'm like, it's a public event. I'm a public official. We reorganized our board last night, so I'm no longer the chair, so I have a little cover here, not much. And I reached out to some people in the community and said, I have to speak. Derek said I can be sarcastic. What should I say? And I got back a lot of, let me think about it, it's a public event. I didn't hear back from two of them. I heard back from one of them, who sent me something. And for those of you in the room, how many of you use 128 or 95? Raise your hand. Okay. How many of you use Waze or something when you travel? You can admit, it's okay. You cut through. Okay. So I should let you know in Lexington, we're always looking for new revenue sources. And we have one under development, which is going to be called the Sencabaugh, which is, you guys get what I'm talking about. It's going to be an app to help you find your way around. Because the one thing that Derek has, he has this unusual relationship with 128 and tractor-trailer trucks. And usually it doesn't end well for the tractor-trailer truck or people in traffic. So we have heard from surrounding communities that they would like to know when you're on the road and when you're traveling. We also understand that, I believe it's Chris Ford, who travels almost the same route as you, has written into his contract he gets a half an hour head start. So there's that. And I will say, I know of 3 specific times where Derek encountered tractor-trailer trucks on 128. One of them, he showed me a very impressive photo. It was late at night, and they got a call for, it was a truck fire. And you go around the curve, and he said just in front of him, all he saw was a wall of flames. Looked like something out of Hollywood, and he's like, holy, what's going on here? And they responded, and as usual, Lexington took care of it. Another time, I'm told, there was a tractor-trailer accident on 128, and it didn't end so well for the driver. But Derek stayed with that driver, talking to him until he finally succumbed to his injuries. And the third time, probably one of my favorites, I was on vacation, and I got a text message and said, hey, we had a little incident today. And I'm like, okay. So he sends a picture, and it's of a tractor-trailer that went off the road on Golf Course Hill, I think, into the, he's trying to remember which one it was, into the marsh, and it was a liquor truck on its side. And I just went, is everyone okay? He said, yes, everyone's fine, and the liquor is too. So, okay, that was my sarcasm and my humor. Now I'll get to the serious part. So I'm gonna speak to your family a few minutes, okay? So Judy, Matt, and Michelle, and Mom and Dad, Helen and Bill, on behalf of the town of Lexington, thank you so much for sharing Derek with us for the past 24 years. It has not been easy. It is never easy. Public safety is not an easy life. It takes a certain type of person to go into public safety, whether it's police, fire, DPW, EMS, any of those types of things. He has most likely missed birthdays, holidays, events. He's been called out in the middle of the night. He's told you he's going to be home for dinner, and he might get home for breakfast. So on behalf of the town, thank you so much for sharing him. He's an incredible, dedicated employee. He sweats the details. And we saw that most recently on Patriots Day when we had some weather challenges. So one of the skills that he now has is he's also a weatherman. So Derek, on behalf of the Board of Selectmen, the 32,000 residents of Lexington, which you have just sworn to protect, congratulations on a promotion very well deserved.
Times have changed. There we go. All right. First of all, I'd like to thank everyone for coming here today. And, well, hold on. There you are. So, you know, this really means a lot to me to see you all out here, and, you know, the citizens of Lexington and my firefighters, both, you know, retired and the active chiefs and things like that. And both police and fire honor guard. If you can't tell, this is my honor guard over here. But it's an honor to have Lexington Police stand here with them for me. First of all, I'd like to take this moment to thank Kathy Severance and her staff from the town manager's office for planning this whole event. They wouldn't let me give them input. I could just give them names. And the amount of work, as you can tell, that they put into this is, you know, it's mind-boggling. Next, I'd like to thank the Board of Selectmen, both the current and former members that are here. As we said, the current is standing here, and then I've seen many from the past that have come as well. Town Manager Jim Malloy, who's been running the show here today and runs the show every day here in town. So I've got a couple of things I'd like to kind of say as we go through. I was glad you went easy on me during the hiring process. You only accepted 17 applications for this chief's job. You presided over my interview panel. And my favorite part, when you, Assistant Town Manager Kelly Axel and Human Resources Director Ann Costas participated and sat in my all-day assessment center. That was really comforting to have them sit in the room with me. After going through this process with you, I was thrilled to find out that we all agreed on who the next chief should be. It's good to know when your boss shares your vision. And State Fire Marshal Ostrowski, who's here, I wasn't sure if you were actually going to be here for this portion of it, but not only did he delegate his authority to me as fire chief, he was kind enough to show up today, so I wouldn't have the only last name that looking at it for the first time and saying it correctly would prove to be difficult. I'm sure I'll return the favor someday. As I said, all the fire chiefs that are here today that have shared and advised me along the way wrote letters of recommendation that were really, really, really great, and you guys can't say enough about you. And they'll know who I was talking about with that part there. So I'd like to give a special thanks to my Assistant Chief, Chris Ford, who encouraged and supported me along the way. A nice word between us before each step of this hiring process usually ended with, "Now don't screw it up." Laurie Manning and Karen Edwards, my administrative staff, that keep my day moving in the right direction. Now, the most important part of my day at work is all the captains, lieutenants, and firefighters that I've worked with currently and in the past of the Lexington Fire Department. These men and women are the best in the business. They come to work every day to make a positive difference in the lives of the citizens, and they succeed. Now, also out looking in the crowd here, I see that there's a bunch of retirees that are sitting here and I said, I know when they heard that I was being promoted, they all must have said, "Wait, what? Derek? Chief? No. Really?" I only have one thing to say to you guys. Shh. Chief John Wilson. I know he told me I could stop sucking up. I got the job. But I can't thank John enough for the years that he had mentored me and brought me along to meetings, budget processes, and all the other events that got me ready for this. He supported me with my training, and he was always there for me, and I'll never be able to thank John enough for that. All of my in-laws who are here, my brother-in-laws Jim and John that have made it, that we weren't sure if they were going to be here, and the rest of their families that have always been available to help my family while I was working nights, weekends, and holidays. I would also like to thank my mother and my father, my sisters, my brothers, who have supported me and encouraged me to achieve my dreams. They've all dedicated some part of their lives to public service and were responsible for my foundation. Dad, I think the promotion contest is now out of reach. And I don't want to hear that there's an age factor to this. Mom, I finally achieved your greatest wish. That was I reached the rank where I'm finally out of the burning buildings. We'll see. Judy, Matt, and Michelle, you're my world. As much as everyone in this hall has done for me through the years to get me here, none of this, oh man. So I don't usually get choked up, but so none of this would have been remotely possible if it wasn't for all your support, love, encouragement, understanding, and for some reason, the tested patience comes to mind. The sacrifices that you made for me over my career can never be appreciated or understood by anyone in this room. Judy, I can remember all the times I had to come home and talk about something that happened at work, and you would listen to me no matter how much you probably didn't want to hear about it. Your understanding when I was supposed to be home and couldn't be there, when the phone rings in the middle of you name it, and I have to get up and go into work. You might not have liked it, but you understood, and you have always been there for me. I'm not looking at you anymore. I think fondly back to the day I came home so excited to tell you I was being promoted to lieutenant. You let me go on and get all my excitement out before telling me, to my surprise, that you were promoted that same day to captain. And then I came home after I made captain, and surprisingly enough, you had made assistant chief. I made assistant chief, and somehow that same day, you made chief. When I came home and said, well, now I am chief, Judy, there's nothing that tops that, I strutted around the room, high-fiving Matt and Mish, when the words came out of your mouth, Commissioner. Judy, Matt, and Michelle, I love you, and I thank you very much for all your support that have made it possible for me to get here. Lastly, I'd like to thank all my friends that took the time out of their day for them to come here to be here for me. And in closing, I take this promotion to fire chief with great pride, honor, and humility. I am excited to lead this department into the future. I am looking forward to the upcoming promotions that can be taking place shortly, identifying, mentoring, and planning potential replacements for command staff positions from within this department. The building of our new state-of-the-art fire headquarters currently being raised out of the dirt up the street, whether people believe it or not, with the anticipation of moving in around this time next year. We all know the ever-changing challenges put on public safety these days, and we have to be prepared to rise in a moment's notice to handle the challenges presented. On behalf of myself and the Lexington firefighters, we accept this challenge. Thank you all.
All right, in closing, I just really want to thank Derek for actually taking the position after we went through the process, and remind him that as important as it was that Chief Wilson mentored him, that he continue playing that forward and mentoring the young firefighters in his department for the future of not only our fire department, but other fire departments around us. With that, I'm looking forward to Derek being a part of our senior management team and working with him for years to come. Thank you. We have a very big fire department cake over here that we need some help disposing of. Thank you.